You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Live at 4. Good to have you with us on this Friday.
It's Friday.
We made it.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. It's a windy Friday, too.
It is, but it's going to be a relatively nice weekend.
Oh, we love to hear that. Let's get our first Warren forecast. Jacob Madison is out on the patio. Jacob, what's good out there?
Well, I don't know if it's going to pick up on the microphone, but the winds are howling out here very loud right behind me, and that's the case for the entire area. Let's take a look at the current wind speeds. These are sustained winds, and we're still seeing some areas getting close to 30 mile per hour. As we look at the gusts, though, those are obviously a lot higher. 55 mile per hour wind gusts currently in Dubuque. A lot of the areas seeing wind gusts up in the lower 40s, so it certainly is windy out here, and it has been windy all day. Also, just spotted 55 miles per hour in Janesville as well. Here are the peak wind gusts from today. Again, 55 miles per hour in Janesville. Pretty much everybody has seen wind gusts at least in the 40s. Some areas even getting into those 50s. Now, looking at the wind advisory, that is until 6 p.m. still, but that yellow you see in the southwestern portion of the southwest of us in Iowa, that is a high wind warning. So a lot of the area dealing with the wind, not just southern Wisconsin, but the winds are going to get better later in the evening. Still breezy with gusts up to 30 miles per hour, and then throughout the night it will progressively get better and better. Still a teensy bit breezy to start Saturday, but the winds will get better throughout the day on Saturday. Now, as far as temperatures, they were in the 50s earlier, now they're in the 40s, and they're going to continue to drop quite a bit overnight. The skies will also clear, which will help the temperatures drop. We'll have lows in the teens across the area, but I'll have more details on your weekend forecast and show you a very good chance of rain next week. I'll have all that coming up a bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is leaving Washington without signing the mineral rights deal after a heated public meeting at the White House.
President Donald Trump demanded Zelensky leave the White House early. The meeting escalated after Vice President J.D. Vance told Zelensky he was not grateful enough to the U.S. for its support.
Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
And
do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
Coming up later on Live at 4, we'll hear President Trump's response to that comment from Zelensky.
Patients with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance could lose coverage for treatment from UW Health soon.
UW Health's current agreement with the insurance company expires on April 15th. UW Health has been meeting with Anthem to renegotiate that agreement, but the two have not yet reached a deal. Right now, Anthem Insurance is still in network with UW Health and its affiliates. But if the two don't come to a deal by that April deadline, it could affect people with commercial, Medicaid, and Medicare Advantage products across a range of hospitals in the area.
In a statement about the negotiation, UW Health said in part, quote, Anthem's current offer is neither fair to their members nor our care teams. In the statement, the healthcare provider accused Anthem of offering an increased reimbursement rate well below the rate of inflation. It also says Anthem is demanding the ability to unilaterally change payment terms without a renegotiation, and that the insurance company overuses prior authorization requirements.
And we've also received a response from Anthem to UW Health. In it, the insurer says UW Health is requesting a price hike more than 4 times the current rate of inflation in the first year alone. That statement reads in part, "We want UW Health to remain in our networks and will continue to work with them to reach an agreement. However, we cannot agree to excessive price increases that would only make healthcare less affordable for our members."
We are now just 32 days away from the spring election on April 1st, which will see Wisconsin voters choose the next state Supreme Court justice.
We here at News 3 Now are sitting down with both of the candidates running, and starting this week with Dane County Judge Susan Crawford. Political reporter Will Keneally joins us with more. Will.
Well, that's right, Susan. It's no joke that this race takes place on April 1st. It's a race that will fill one of 7 seats on the state Supreme Court, and whoever wins will hold that seat for the next 10 years. Now, it's technically a nonpartisan race, but both sides of the aisle will have weighed in. Susan Crawford is generally considered to be the liberal-backed candidate in the race. We asked her about that dynamic during a one-on-one interview. Take a listen.
As I'm out talking to voters, I make sure to tell them that, if you ask me a question about how I'm going to decide this case or how I'm going to decide that case, I just won't answer that. I can't.
Now you can hear more from our interview coming up this Sunday at 10:30 on For the Record.
Yeah, so how would you describe this race to our viewers who are just starting to kind of follow it now?
This is going to be huge. The last two Supreme Court races in Wisconsin were the most expensive Supreme Court races in U.S. history right here. Especially with an off year. I mean, we just had the November elections last November. All eyes on the nation will be focused on Wisconsin and a lot of the money coming too. So if you see those ads on your TVs, those will be here for a little bit.
The results of this election will change the majority on the court. Either it will remain liberal or it will move to a more conservative majority, and there are a lot of major issues, things like abortion, guns, a lot of issues in Wisconsin that hang in the balance. What are some of the things you think voters should be paying attention to?
I would keep an eye certainly on some of those big issues like abortion. That may be decided before whoever this new justice will be seated. But those issues will continue to permeate here in Wisconsin for the next foreseeable future. Other things I'd keep an eye on are voting rights. Certainly that'll be a big issue for the court coming up. And then possibly redrawing different maps. We redrew the legislative districts like your state assembly, state senate districts. We could see a challenge coming up related to the congressional districts at some point.
And you will be talking to Judge Crawford's opponent as well.
Brad Schimmel. I would keep an eye on set your TVs. We'll be back here next week with that interview with Brad Schimmel as well.
All right. Thank you, Will.
Thanks, Will.
But first, this weekend, you can watch Will's full interview with Judge Crawford Sunday morning at 10:30, right after Face the Nation. And we will also put the interview up online at channel3000.com.
Well, political ads for that election are, of course, ramping up on broadcast TV, streaming, and a whole lot more.
But experts say they're getting more negative over time, and for some who don't know any better, are getting scarier, too. Arman Rahman has more.
We may be far from the presidential election, but political ads for judicial races are starting to dominate the airwaves again. But how do we keep them from advising the discretion of some unintended viewers?
Some kids are also a little bit frightened by some of these ads.
UW-Madison journalism professor Mike Wagner says political ads in close races have gotten increasingly negative over the last several election cycles, even in judicial races, which are supposed to be nonpartisan. He says this can be seen in the race for state Supreme Court justice between Brad Schimmel and Susan Crawford.
These are more frightening ads that are closer to home. They're ads that say, this judge let somebody free and that person is a predator and they might be outside your door. Increasingly kind of fast and loose with the truth. And so all of these things kind of work together in a way that can cause some real significant problems for democratic politics.
Wagner says the claims in many of these ads are less accurate when you read the fine print of the situations they're referencing. This causes judicial candidates to be blamed for the behavior of others while stoking fear in families. So what are some ways to talk to your kids about what they see in ads? I'll have more on that tonight at 5. For now, reporting in Madison, Arman Rahman, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Arman. Next on Live at 4, what President Trump's latest executive order means for non-English speakers.
And whether the Pope will be well enough to lead next Wednesday's Ash Wednesday service.
English will become the official language of the United States. President Trump will sign an executive order later. English is already the most commonly used language in the U.S. This order will eliminate requirements for federal agencies and other recipients of federal funding to provide language assistance to non-English speakers. Agencies will still be able to provide documents and services in other languages.
A serious setback for Pope Francis. The Vatican says he suffered a bronchial spasm today, resulting in him breathing in some stomach acid, and doctors had to aspirate his lungs. Francis has been hospitalized for more than 2 weeks due to double pneumonia. The Vatican said he was making progress earlier this week, though it did announce he wouldn't lead next week's Ash Wednesday service. This marks the second time in 12 years of his papacy the 88-year-old has been unable to mark the start of Lent.
And let's get a look at your first warn forecast. Jacob is out of the wind and back inside. Welcome.
Yeah, definitely a lot calmer in here. And as we take a look at the three things you need to know, that wind will continue to cool the temperatures down. And for the weekend, it will be cooler, but temperature is pretty close to average. It also will be dry over the weekend with rain likely by the time we get to Tuesday and into Wednesday of next week. Now, looking at the current wind gusts once again, up near 40 miles per hour for pretty much everybody. Some areas above 50 miles per hour. Now, the winds, at least to this level, they're not going to last much longer. By around 7 to 8 p.m. they'll calm down a little bit. Still breezy though. We'll have wind gusts up around 30 to 35 miles per hour, and then they're going to continue to calm down throughout the night. By Saturday morning, we'll have gusts up to 20 miles per hour, and throughout the day Saturday the winds will progressively get better, and by Saturday night into Sunday the winds will no longer be a factor. But the temperatures will be cool by then. We'll have lows tonight in the upper teens with clear skies by tomorrow morning, and we'll see plenty of sunshine throughout the day Saturday and Sunday. But highs will be a lot cooler compared to today. We'll be in the lower 30s tomorrow and then upper 30s for Sunday. And as I mentioned, we'll start out breezy for Saturday. Winds will get better throughout the day. By Sunday, though, the winds will be calm for the entire day. Now, looking at the precipitation forecast, very dry throughout the weekend. Small chance of some snow this evening, but until early Monday, that will be just about it. Now, early Monday, we just have a small chance of some light rain. This will likely not be a big issue, but as we get into Tuesday, that's when more consistent rain will move into our area. And right now, we are expecting widespread rain for Tuesday evening. And as we get to the overnight hours and temperatures cool down, some of that rain may transition into snow. And if conditions are just right for southern Wisconsin, we definitely could see some accumulation. Now, right now, in terms of how much accumulation we will see, that is still very unclear, but it does look increasingly likely that will start out as rain and then transition to snow for early Wednesday, possibly lasting into Wednesday afternoon. The best chance for that transition will happen for northern and western counties, and it may create kind of a messy forecast for early Wednesday. Now, this system will clear out by Thursday, but until then, at the very least, we are going to see a good amount of moisture. So even if that rain doesn't transition into snow, we could be seeing about an inch of rain, which is a rain that we definitely need because the current drought monitor does show drought in southern Wisconsin. So definitely going to see a good amount of moisture. Still a bit unclear, though, as to how much snowfall we will see from this system. It also will be breezy. We'll see wind gusts back up near 40 miles per hour with that system. But after that system, it does look like conditions will be calm for the rest of next week. We'll have highs near 40 Thursday through Saturday, possibly highs in the 50s by the time we get to early the following week, and we are going to see a good amount of sunshine. So cooler but calm for the weekend. Temperatures will warm up for Monday and Tuesday before that big rain chance. Actually, pretty likely we'll see that rain later in the day Tuesday.
Thank you, Jacob. The Miracle League of Dane County is getting ready for its 5th season in Cottage Grove.
That's right. Children with disabilities get to play baseball. Their parents get to watch them have fun in the field, and volunteers get to have a life-changing experience. Registration for players and volunteers opens tomorrow. Bill Schultz is the executive director of the Miracle League of Dane County. Hi, Bill. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me back.
5th season already.
Wow. 5th season. That's incredible. We've grown from 90 kids the first year to 300.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. And you always need as many volunteers as you can get. Explain to people why that's so important.
Yeah, well, each child when they're playing has a volunteer, which we call a buddy, beside them at all times. And they help them hit a ball, run the bases, score a run. And so they are kind of their encouragers as well as keeping the kids safe. And so they are, the minute a child steps on the field, that buddy is right beside them. And it turns into quite a partnership.
I bet. And if you need any more, a push in this direction, I found this on your website. How do we measure the success of the Miracle League of Dane County? The outcomes are hard to measure, but unmistakable. Smiles, fun, inspiration, self-confidence, hope, determination, inclusion, and continued growth. I mean, that says it all.
That's it.
That's it. And it's not only for the kids, but also the volunteers, but the parents who are sitting in the stands.
Yeah.
We don't let them volunteer. We want them to sit back, watch their kids, and do things that they probably didn't think they could do.
This is video from a story that I did with you with the Miracle League, and it honestly is a life-changing experience for everyone there. Kids that have any disability imaginable get to play. It doesn't there's no restrictions,
There's
right?
no restrictions, and they can run the bases backwards. They can do anything they want. Yes.
And then the buddy goes all the way around the bases with them.
Yep, and they're in the dugout with them when they're not batting, talking to them, encouraging them, and then they walk the child back to their parents.
And and you think about like this facility, this resource, not every place has it. It should be everywhere, but not every. How life-changing is something like this?
Well, you see the kids we've seen kids now who started 3 years ago, we keep coming back, and they come out of their shell.
Yeah.
You can see the self-confidence being built. They look forward to it. In fact, a lot of parents have said that they wear their shirts to school all year. One child has his uniform framed in his bedroom. You know, it's those kind of stories that just reverberate.
It's not about keeping score, and whenever the kids round the bases, the entire place erupts. Everybody cheers. They put their picture up on the big screen. It's an absolutely incredible program.
Yeah, and the kids just love seeing their photo on the video screen. And we announce them when they come up to plate. We also play their favorite song as they walk up to the plate.
The walk-up song.
The walk-up song. Yeah. And you won't believe what they ask for, but it's great.
If people are watching and they'd like to volunteer, how big of a commitment is it?
Well, it's an 8-week season, and each child plays 1 game per week the same night. And so we like them to commit for the 8 weeks with that same child.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do people do that?
Well, they can go to our website, DaneCountyMiracleLeague.org, and click on volunteer, and that will take them into our portal. But it'll also show them some description of what the position is all about.
Yeah.
And if they don't want to be a buddy, they can be an umpire, a coach, concession stand. There's other things as well.
Did you manage to get the Badgers to do it? I know you were trying. The Badgers have a great Badgers Give Back program. Were you able to get some of the local athletes to help out?
Well, the first year they came out thinking they were going to do 1 game. And they said, we want to do the whole season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, now they're back for their 3rd season.
Oh, that's
amazing.
wonderful.
And we also got the Edgewood College baseball team and the Madison Nightmares softball team to come out this year.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, and they just walk away, just smiles on their face. I think it's inspirational to them too.
Yeah. We got to get the News 3 Now volunteer team.
Yes.
Ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to do it this summer. Now I've said it on television, so I'll
Okay,
see you out there. Yes, yeah, I'll register tomorrow.
Thank you so much for
Thank
all
you.
of your work and
Thank
sharing
you.
it with us.
It's a joy.
Thanks, Bill. Great to see you.
Yeah.
We'll see you on the diamond pretty
Okay.
soon. When is opening day, by the way?
June 2nd.
June 2nd. All right, almost here.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Thanks.
Well, coming up, you may be looking forward to March and warmer weather, like in June, but February isn't over just yet.
No, our Josh Spreiter is recapping the month of February in the 608. We'll be right back.
Well, after what felt like the longest January ever, remember that?
It did.
February flew by, though, just like that.
Honestly, it's so true. And here's some of the fun and inspiring stories that Josh Spreiter has shared this month in the 608.
Just the most beautiful morning here in front of the lake.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, and it'll be just as pretty on the day for Dozer. It started in honor of Dustin and as a fundraiser for a scholarship fund, but it's grown to be a real community event where we bring in organizations from across the community, and local businesses help support us. So we really like to think that it's becoming our winter carnival here, per se.
Talk about this brand new space, because this is huge.
It is amazing. We're working basically 5 days to 7 days a week to procure enough food to keep serving everyone. The community support, just financially, prayerfully, with physical activity, becoming a volunteer, these are all things we need. And I feel like when we announced that we were here to stay, there was a collective sigh of relief.
What are you cooking up here today?
Well, we got some beautiful pork belly. This has been kind of pre-cooked, confit. Brumoir's cooked in its own juices. We take it out and it's kind of crisping up in a pan here.
Oh my gosh, that looks
almost
delicious.
like a glorious bacon, if you will.
Yeah, there you go.
And this is one of our signature dishes at Heritage Tavern that we're super excited to feature at the Delish events. And I couldn't think about anything better to support and raise money for the community, especially our younger generation of folks. Really, the kids are the future, and if someone didn't allow me the opportunity to teach me and show me the way, I'd never be here today.
Just happened to stroll upon the Spirit of Service Award and ended up winning, which was amazing. And that was just 100% the kickoff for the fundraising.
One of the things you're proudest about is
yes, sir.
The kitchen, and why is that?
Well, as we're walking in here, what we're looking at now in the dishwashing area and the food prep area used to be the bathrooms. And this area right here used to be where the wall was, and this was your kitchen space. With having the bathroom expansion over there, what do we do with this other space? Well, make a bigger kitchen.
And of course, we're thinking about all of our grand friends this Valentine's Day. One of my favorites here in the 608, Jeannie is joining us. Hi, Jeannie, how are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Why is this Adopt a Friend event so special for you?
Oh, it means so much. It should mean so much to everybody. It's a day of love. Love. Love for everybody. Everybody.
And are you feeling the love here today?
Oh, yes. It's a wonderful place to be. There is so much love in here. So much love.
Did you see the cupcakes on the table? They look pretty good.
Oh, yes, they do. Very, very good. Woohoo!
Jeannie kind of pulled at my heartstrings
Yes.
a little bit. Very nice to look back at the month in that way.
Yeah, great work this month, Josh. Coming up on Live at 4, what we know about a local supper club that has abruptly closed its doors.
Plus, the findings detailed in a report on the uncounted ballots in Madison.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Oh, there we go. Do we see a little bit of ice melt out there?
Yeah, see the ducks?
Well, the ducks are having a good time. I hope they're doing okay in this wind. It was an extra hairspray kind of day for me.
It's a bad hair day, but the winds will slowly subside over the weekend. Jacob is out on the patio. Hi, Jacob.
Hey, Susan. Yeah, wind's still very gusty right now. The wind advisory remains in effect till 6 p.m. And then after that is when it will start to relax a little bit. Now, looking at the current winds, still sustained winds are up near 25 to even 30 miles per hour. Some areas are even higher than that. And again, these are just the sustained winds. Checking out the wind gusts, we are up near 50 miles per hour for parts of the area. And I don't believe my clicker is working right now. There we go. There we go. Up near 55 miles per hour in Janesville. So definitely some very, very windy areas out there. But again, the winds are going to subside just a little bit through the evening, and then a lot so by the time we get to tomorrow. Now, looking at just the max wind gusts throughout the day, a lot of areas saw those wind gusts get up to 50 miles per hour or higher at some points, but most of the area at least got into the 40s. Now, again, we'll still be breezy throughout the evening with gusts up around 35 miles per hour, but certainly going to be a lot better, and it will continue to improve by the time we get to Saturday morning. But that will cause much cooler temperatures. The highs tomorrow, a lot cooler than what we're seeing right now, but it will be sunny and the winds will be calmer. I'll have more details on the weekend forecast and show you more on next week's system coming up a little bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Back in late December, the Madison City Clerk's Office announced there were 193 uncounted absentee ballots from the November election. That discovery sparked an investigation by the Wisconsin Elections Commission.
That investigation was released last night. Ellie LaLiberte spent the day digging into the findings and joins us now. Ellie?
Yeah, Commission staff released this 13-page memo for next week's WEC meeting. The 193 missing absentee ballots were found across these 3 wards. One was found in a sealed courier bag in Ward 65 containing 67 ballots. One in Ward 68, which the city says was missorted, and 2 sealed carrier envelopes were found in Ward 56 containing 125 ballots. The report also states that as of now, Commission staff have a better idea of how this happened, but still have several questions. That includes things like how the absentee ballot carrier bags with the uncounted ballots went unnoticed and where those bags were located at the polling place on Election Day. The memo also states that if Clerk Weitzel-Bell had checked all the bags and envelopes before November 29th, the ballots could have been included in the final total for the city of Madison. Also saying, quote, "It seems as if existing policies are extensive with respect to checking what was completed, but were not designed to check what was completed against what should have been completed." I've reached out to the city for comment and was told that it's, quote, it would be, quote, premature to speak publicly about the investigation until the commissioners meet on March 7th.
Thank you, Ellie. We're learning the president's Ukraine envoy advised him against meeting with the Oval Office with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky because their relationship needed to be strengthened. The meeting turned hostile after the vice president told Ukraine's leader he wasn't appreciative enough of the U.S.'s help and berated him for his country's issues. Zelensky responded that while the U.S. might not see the problems or feel the effects of the war now, they could later, and then the president shot back.
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have.
The president posted online Zelensky wasn't allowed back into the White House until he was ready for peace. Meanwhile, Zelensky posted a thank you to the president, Congress, and the American people.
To Wall Street, U.S. stocks rallied to close out the work week and a dreary February. On a brighter note, the Dow gained 601 points, the Nasdaq was up 303, and the S&P 500 was up almost 93.
After nearly 80 years, the Esquire Supper Club in Madison is seemingly closing.
The restaurant posted a note in its window last night saying that it had to close due to the, quote, unimaginable. John Kavanaugh Jr. and his wife Jane bought the business in 1947. Last May, they handed off operations to Craig Spaulding, a well-known local bar owner. The Supper Club was expected to host a Bloody Mary festival this week, but canceled due to unforeseen circumstances. Kavanaugh's granddaughter Bridget responded to the news on Facebook last night, apologizing to the workers and patrons, saying that her family never would have sold if they knew this would happen. Coming up on Live at 4, you still have time to watch some of the films nominated for this Sunday's Academy Awards.
How many do you have?
I have a lot.
A lot? I better get cracking. Will Loper shows us where you can watch shows when Live at 4 returns. You know, we like to think that we're Los Angeles. We are pretty important, but no, that's a beautiful shot of Madison over by Lake Mendota.
That's actually one of my favorite pictures. You see the Memorial Union. A lot of ice on the lake still.
A lot of ice, and yeah, one day we'll be 68 in Bartlett.
Right. We were hoping to show LA because, of course, the Oscars are this Sunday.
And here they come, and if you haven't had time to watch the movies that received all the nominations, you still actually have time. Will Loper shows you how.
To listen is to accept.
On Netflix, stream the genre-bending musical drama Emilia Perez that's been besieged by scandal, but also has the most nominations this year with 13, including Best Picture. See the Sandworms in all their HD glory with Dune Part 2, streaming on Max. The first-person POV drama Nickel Boys, about a horrific reform school in the 1960s, is up for Best Picture and can be streamed on MGM+.
What are you gonna do? It's now or never.
8 Oscar nominee Conclave, about the choosing of a new pope, is up for Best Pick and Best Actor for Ralph Fiennes and can be found on Peacock.
It seems the responsibility for the conclave falls upon you.
See 5 Oscar nominee, including Best Pick and Best Actress for Demi Moore, The Substance, on streaming service Mubi.
One single injection unlocks your DNA and will release another version of yourself.
Watch the supporting actor frontrunner A Real Pain on Hulu.
Does it look real?
Well, they're twice the size of you in metal, so...
You sure you don't want to come up here?
I'm good.
And if you're a completionist, Honora, The Brutalist, and A Complete Unknown can all be rented or bought on digital platforms.
If anyone is going to hold your attention on stage, you have to kind of be a freak.
For Live at 4, I'm Will Loper.
ones.
You're my pop culture role
Yeah.
model, so how many have you seen?
Most of them. I haven't seen The Brutalist yet, and I really would like to try to see that.
Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow. And you would like to see what, Conclave?
I think I'm going to watch that tonight,
And
yeah.
just go for the substance.
That's your best
Yeah.
pick? Okay.
It is a weird, wild ride, but it's fun.
And we'll have all the fashions and all the highlights on Monday.
Well, still ahead, the impact of the Trump administration's funding freeze on our state's dairy workers.
And we debut our Feel Good Friday segment with the Caring Canines. That's when Live at 4 returns.
Welcome back. Right now, the legality of the Trump administration's federal funding freeze is making its way through the U.S. judicial system. In the meantime, it's affecting people all across the country.
And that includes dairy manufacturers, processors, and their supply partners here in Wisconsin. Earlier this week, the Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association wrote a letter to the head of the USDA demanding the release of nearly $30 million in funding for dairy business innovation initiatives.
And joining us now to talk about what's at stake without that money, the group's Senior Director of Program and Policy, Rebecca Sweeney.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
being
for
on
having
with
me.
us.
Yes, we appreciate it.
Well, what was in that letter? Can you tell us about some of the things that you wrote in there?
So this week we learned the very troubling news that the U.S. Department of Agriculture decided to pause Dairy Business Innovation Initiative funding. This is a reimbursable grant program that helps very small farms and very small dairy processors, cheesemakers, grow their businesses. And it's been a wild success since Senator Tammy Baldwin first championed it in the 2018 Farm Bill. But because it's a reimbursable grant program, the money that's already been promised to farmers and processors in many cases has been spent. So the freeze that USDA has put in place now means that many of these small business owners cannot pay their bills. It's been a very difficult week hearing from many folks who are concerned about losing their generational farm. In one case, a woman's home that she had mortgaged to start her business.
Well, farmers are already facing so many struggles. The money is frozen, I understand. It's not, we're waiting for this to happen.
No.
It's happened. So what is the impact, do you think, on Wisconsin dairy farmers?
Well, the impact here in Wisconsin is, at minimum, the stagnation of growth within the dairy industry. Dairy farms and dairy processors are the economic drivers in many rural communities, providing family-supporting jobs. And when those businesses are not supported as they grow, they can either stagnate or fail. And what we have on the line here is a lot of dairy businesses being jeopardized. So nationwide, 420 businesses are impacted. And here in the Midwest, we're talking about 88 businesses. And in fact, 8 in the greater Madison area.
I think I have a two-part question. On one hand, when you talk with people, do you hear from them who maybe they're worried about if they lose their farm, then Wisconsin loses out on that, it's gone. But are you also hearing from people who might agree with President Trump's tactics in cleaning up federal government?
I'll tell you, the folks I've been talking with this week, it's mostly tears and worries and confusion. Because if those folks had placed their trust in President Trump during this last election cycle, this certainly was not what they expected out of this administration. So we're hoping that, and we're calling for this administration to do right by these dairy farmers and processors, by these rural communities. You know, a majority of them supported him in this election, right? Not necessarily those specific business owners, but right now, all I'm hearing from folks is tremendous worry about what the future holds.
Is there a possibility this could be reversed?
Of course. At any time, the U.S. Department of Agriculture can make a change and say, you know, we're releasing these funds, and we would cheer that. We know that there's an understanding from this administration that the food supply is critical to our nation's security. And that includes businesses, whether they're juggernauts of industry or the teeny tiny entrepreneurs, right? So we welcome the expeditious review of this program And we need this release now. We can't wait weeks. We can't wait months. Those businesses will fail in the interim.
And before we go, if anyone out there who is, in this industry has any questions about uncertainty, are there any resources they can turn to?
Absolutely. We invite anybody to go to our website. That's WISCcheesemakers.org. Or frankly, if you feel strongly about this, now is the time to make your voice heard. Call your member of Congress, talk with them directly about why it's important for you to see dairy farmers and cheesemakers supported.
We'll continue to follow this.
Yeah.
Rebecca, great to see you. Thank you for coming today. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
And let's get another check of our first warn forecast with meteorologist Jacob Montesano.
Thanks, Brady. Here's a look at the 3 things you need to know. It is going to be cooler over the weekend with temperatures near average. So overall, not too bad for southern Wisconsin standards, but overall cooler compared to the last couple of days. It will be dry over the weekend as well. We are expecting plenty of rainfall for Tuesday and Wednesday. So those winds going to slowly get better throughout the night, still breezy, but the winds coming out of the northwest will be a big driving factor in the temperature drop. For tonight, we'll see low temperatures dropping into the teens for a lot of the area. The other reason temperatures will be cold is that the clouds will clear up, which will allow temperatures to fall even further. And we're going to continue to see clear skies throughout the weekend, but it is going to be cooler, especially for Saturday, where highs will be in the lower 30s, upper 30s Sunday, and the winds will be calmer by Sunday. Now, as we take a look at next week's rainfall forecast, will be dry throughout the weekend. Small chance of some light rain Monday morning, but this will likely not amount to much. Many parts of our area may not see any rain at all during that time. But Tuesday afternoon and evening, we'll see plenty of rainfall move into the area. Widespread rain is expected Tuesday evening. And as those temperatures cool down, we could see some of that rain transition into snow. And accumulating snow is definitely possible if the conditions are right. And that may lead to kind of a messy Wednesday forecast. We're still keeping an eye on this, but right now we are definitely expecting plenty of rainfall. And looking at the amount of rain we could see up to an inch, which is definitely good news considering what our current drought is. Let's take a look at that drought monitor. This is as of yesterday. Moderate drought is now across much of southern Wisconsin, with only the central portion of the state dealing with no drought whatsoever. So as we take a look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, the temperatures will rise before that system enters our area. So that's why we will start out as rainfall and potentially transition to snow Tuesday night into Wednesday. Again, a lot could change between now and then. We'll continue updating the forecast accordingly. It does look like we'll also see windy weather. After that system, it looks like we'll see pretty calm conditions to end next week.
Well, it's Friday. It's been a long week. And so starting today on Live at 4, we're going to highlight a local feel-good story every Friday.
How about that?
To wrap up the week.
Love that. Well, we are starting off with Caring Canines. The American Family Children's Hospital program launched 2 years ago, and it brings together child patients and dog volunteers to help families cope with the stress of hospital stays.
It allows an opportunity for the children to forget for a little while about why they're here, perhaps some of the pain that they're having, anxiety that they're having. There's studies that show that when a dog walks into a room, the anxiety level instantly lowers, which is amazing that we're able to offer this service to some patients almost every single day.
UW Health says it's looking to expand the program, but they need another dog volunteer. If you think your dog could be the right fit, apply to UW Health's website.
Oh, look at those smiles. And if you have a story you'd like to share for Feel Good Friday, you can submit it by emailing tips@channel3000.com with the subject line, Feel Good Friday.
We need more of that, don't we? And we'll be right back.
Here's what's we're sitting here chatting. It's a Friday afternoon. Here's what's coming up next on Monday on Live at 4. Will Loper will recap the Oscars, all of the winners and the fashions from Sunday's Academy Awards. And tonight at 6, whether today's call for an economic blackout had any impact. That's coming up tonight at 6. Thanks for watching Live at 4. Have a great weekend, everybody. We hope to see you right back here on Monday. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.